Welcome everyone, my name is Crumb, and today I kind of just want to quickly, talk about a situation that Destiny players have brought into the Destiny Rising community. Now, this isn't a real problem and is kind of just fabricated by them, but at the same time, they're spreading misinformation and lies publicly that I would love to factually correct. Now, I do want to just kind of get this over with, but I do want to preface that I don't want to spread any hate, as well as everything in this video is my thoughts and opinions based on the information I have that I can provide, but I hope it paints a clearer picture and shows that these people should, apologize. So I'm going to go through this rather quickly. If you feel the need to pause to see anything, please do, but it basically starts with this tweet from Aquativity talking about their speedrunning time of the final raid encounter in Destiny Rising's current and only raid-like activity, being beaten by what he says are known exploiters and cheaters. I am a member of the alpha and the beta test, as well as been playing full release since launch. I don't even think cheats exist for this game, and bugs and exploits will always exist in video games, but we'll get into that more as we go through his post, as he talks about it more as well. But moving down, you'll see he's still talking about the two clears that were above them at this time were exploiting to achieve their time. He's calling our team comp inefficient here. The mystery light bearers as well are due to privacy settings of our team hiding stats and builds to try to keep more of a competitive advantage on this leaderboard. The inefficiency didn't matter, as you'll see in a second, just like he's implying a slow boss clear because of the concentrated damage on, fewer people in the fire team. This was due to a bug that not even our team knew was a bug at the time or knew how it was being done, but I'll show you a clip of exactly what was happening here. As you can see, the boss's health was being chunked, and this was caused by a bug or an exploit, I don't care what you call it, with Izanagi. We did not know at the time exactly what this was. We just knew, some of our players who were playing the game noticed, hey, I'm doing a lot more damage than you are with my gun. So we did an Asakis run for fun. It beat them, and then I guess their feelings got hurt, and this is where the situation starts for them. However, the part I really want to talk about is the misinformation of talking about our players being banned. And this is an out of context screenshot from our general chat in our Discord. It is a public Discord. We have more than 300 members. We're just trying to build a rising community. But he's showing off someone saying they did get banned for exploiting a bug in PvP. And the bug was, if you were in your pack shooting range, testing guns and abilities, and loaded into the PvP game mode, your character kept all its upgrades. You weren't put at the standardized power for fairness. And NetEase was issuing temporary bans. But as you can see, the clan visitor, who isn't a member of our clan, just a random person he's accusing of malicious intention, was, banned, and then they reached out and got unbanned, so NetEase clearly wasn't that serious about it. And the other person, Lixie, is our clan leader, who says they tested it. And after they tested it, we made a Discord-wide announcement not to do it. So I just find it funny that he's out here, trying to, belittle our name and make us look bad on purpose. The next part of the tweets he has is kind of the most concerning to start. He yet again is throwing around the word cheating and, comparing exploits and bugs to cheating. He's also saying we are historically known by other mainstays in the community for doing exploits or saving them for our own gain. He's also getting insulting, where he's saying their characters are not good, they do not understand the current damage strategies, which is hilarious because we have 3 times the experience, as all of us are alpha, beta, and now full release players. We made the strats you're using, we figured out what was the best to use. You are new to the game, you did not play the beta or alpha, you do not know us. And one of the most concerning parts of this is that he is talking about getting information from somewhere else. The only other people who could be considered mainstays in Rising is a clan known as 7-Eleven. people who broke off from the beta under the pretense that they did not want to be competitive. So I don't know why these people are talking behind our back or giving misinformation out to bigger figures, but that I will get into in the second half of this video. Anyways, here's more proof of the lies.
Use the Scorch Cannons to destroy the last breaker, and then defeat any remaining enemies, and you're done. Currently in the alpha, there's a contest mode called Celebration, where players are 15 levels under enemies, and is much more difficult than normal. In order to clear this encounter, I was carried by the best players in the game from Clan Insomnia, who cleared the raid first on Celebration mode. Here you can see Akerna on Yolder sword flying to bypass the plate mechanics, and just take the buff across to destroy the breakers. For the contest/celebration mode, you can see Crumb from Clan Insomnia use an out-of-bounds hole in the map to get teleported back to the elevator room, teleporting us back, allowing us to skip the traversal section.
As you can see, these are just some examples of our, exploits and bugs being publicly known, as well as bugs being shared and reported to the devs. That's what the playtests were for. Moving on, he starts to ego us about stat checking in Destiny 2, calling us subpar to below average players. I mean, it's just funny. But you guys can check my stats if you want. My name in Destiny is Crumb6213. I only did LFG contest. I did Ron, I did Sundered. I'm sorry, I don't dedicate 30 hours on these contest modes to, find a team, or instead of LFG, I only played a couple hours for all of them. The only team I ever had was for Desert Perpetual, and that was with some of these 7-Eleven guys who invited me to play with them in Destiny. Other than that, I can do all my solo flawless dungeons. I can get trials flawless when I want. I've done my 15k comp last season. It really doesn't matter to me, but if you want to check stats, they're there. It's kind of funny that you do. Next up, I can't speak for anyone, as I only met these people in Rising and only play with them in Rising. He brings up the raid report of one of our members apparently having a cheated Salvation's Edge clear. Now, like I said, they can speak for themselves on this matter, so I'll let them do that, as well as...
So yeah, and especially it's so out of pocket that they go to my Destiny 2 raid report, and the Salvation's Edge clear. Yes, there was a cheater in there. I didn't know. Dude, it was an LFG. I thought I was looking for a witness checkpoint. It wasn't even like a raid clear. Like here, I can even show you guys. Collections, flare, and then I don't know where it would be. Where's it at? And raids. I don't have it at all, dude. See.
Moving on from that, the next part is him willingly spreading misinformation because nobody fact-checked him. But as you can see, he posted a screenshot of the Terms of Service. It's section 7.2. As you can see in his picture, it's right above section 8, breach and indemnification. The section he is quoting is limitations of liability. And it's clear all he did was find the word exploit and take a screenshot and doesn't provide any sort of context or evidence. But the section he's quoting is about, limits of financial, monetary, like the max monetary value lawsuits can go to protect NetEase, as well as the section he's specifically talking about is to protect NetEase and let you know that only NetEase in these events has the right to use Destiny Rising in any way they see fit. It's not talking about exploits in a game, it's more legal jargon, and I'm not a legal representative, but I do have Google like he does and the same source as he does to clarify things, and then I will be showing you the actual user agreement. You can go scroll down and read these yourself if you want to, but it only states, no hard cheating, no third-party software, don't bot, don't macro, nothing about using bugs or exploits, as well as NetEase has not publicly stated anything about the use of bugs and exploits in Destiny Rising. It's never been an issue. Like I said, I've been here since the alpha and the beta. Bugs are going to happen. People are going to use them. I mean, I do believe it was used on another leaderboard for this first week. I don't have proof of it, and I don't really care that much because the leaderboards get reset weekly, but I'm not going to cry online about it and spread lies the same way they are. Moving down to the next couple tweets, I'm kind of going to group them together. The first one is him showing a screenshot of him submitting a support email about the Izzy bug/exploit. We reached out to the CMs the moment we saw the first tweet just to let them know, hey, false accusations are being made. Here we have our runs if you want to validate them or, get NetEase to validate them. We didn't want to show it to them as it's a competitive advantage if they see why they're getting beat. Then he shows the Izzy bug, which I'll explain now. We noticed that some of our players were doing more damage with Izzy. It turned out it was only mobile players. After our first run, we started looking into it and found that, hey, these mobile players have a setting called auto fire on. And for whatever reason, if that setting was on and you were on a mobile device, your Izzy was doing 2 to upwards of 5 times the damage. So we did runs with it. Yeah, it's a bug. No need to cry over it like they do. They use bugs. I'm sure in their run, if they post a video of it, they're reload canceling, which is not intended. That is a bug. That is the same moral ground that they are arguing against. So please show proof that you weren't reload canceling or stop crying. As well as in Destiny, which they cry Destiny allows bugs, Destiny Rising doesn't. But as I showed you, there's no proof that it's ever been stated anywhere. They post videos of using Temporal Blast, to beat the 5 feet raid. They didn't cry about Thunderlord and Lord of Wolf bugs in the DP raid. So I don't understand the moral high ground. And then the post below that is any solid attempt on the leaderboard with Izzy is invalid. But here's a picture of Gigs crying about it as well, and that it's been patched. And then we beat it after their patch, which with Izzy, by the way, the gun that's inefficient and not good. So we'll move on now. I also want to bring up that we aren't the only ones who discovered this bug, and just as they discovered it from testing themselves, many other people found it on their own and noticed, something was going on. However, the only reason they're targeting it is because, they were losing, and then they still lost after the patch. So I just wanted to provide some pictures of that here. I do want to condemn the way they handled this and how public they were about it. Gigs and Aqua being members of Tier 1, Gigs being a known creator. They should respect the platform they have and, fact check themselves. Don't misinform people, as well as don't make allegations such as this without hard proof like you did before. As well as they cried in a lot of public channels like the Destiny Rising official Discord, where Giggs was told to stop and silenced by the CMs for starting drama in there, as well as, continuing in public to call us cheaters while in private, trying to strong arm their way into show us proof at first of how you're beating us, or we're going to call you cheaters. This was before the bug was even known by either of us, and then after we found out the bug first, we didn't really care. It's going to happen in the game. Bugs are going to be found and used by players. There's no clear rules about it. There never were. So that's more misinformation they were using. I also want to say, because they were losing, they reached out, like I said, to as many places as they could until they got their way, and the bugged runs were removed from the leaderboard. As you could see in the picture before, that it's only one of our runs above theirs of beating their theoretical best times. They also came back to the game and beat that time again, and then guess what? We beat them again. Now, the only thing I really want from them is a public apology, as deleting their tweets after being seen by so many people will do no good, but a public apology can go a long way, as well as, instead of being an egotistical or narcissistical jerks about this, they can just take the loss. They don't have to come into this community and be such dicks about things that they don't understand. And wherever they're getting their misinformation from, which I'm going to talk about what I suspect in the second half of this video, I very much, recommend you to stay away from whatever sources you're using. Anyways, to end this part of the video, I'm going to show you guys from my perspective the run we had that beat theirs. Other than that, I think I'm just going to talk about a quick brief summary once that's done, so here you guys go.
Is there any feeling better than this?
Alright, for a quick summarization of that first half of the video, Giggs and Aquativity from Tier 1 made false accusations, whether they knowingly or unknowingly used incorrect information to spread that. I don't care. I do not have any hate for them. I just want a public apology, as I'm very active in the Destiny Rising and Destiny 2 community. I don't want to be going around being accused of being a cheater because some people with a bigger platform couldn't take the time out of their day to fact check things properly. So that's all that was. I provided all the information I could. But now moving into the second half of the video is to talk about, in my opinion, the bigger issue, and that has to do with someone in the Destiny Rising community who may cause future problems. To keep this segment shorter, please pause to read any evidence provided. It's a lot of information to go through. But tying directly to Aquativity's tweet about gaining information from other Destiny Rising mainstays, the only other mainstays in Rising as of now is the group 7-Eleven that split off from Insomnia between the alpha and beta under the false pretenses of wanting to not be as competitive. They did later note that they do not like the open concept of Insomnia's community, as they were worried about unsavory people joining and causing issues. Myself as an admin in Insomnia can say that the people he's worried about are and were always swiftly dealt with, either getting removed or talked to in private depending on the severity of the situation. Now, Boog was also the first to let us know about Aquativity's tweet due to the confusion of him removing all Insomnia members from the 7-Eleven Discord at the time, where he claimed to us that he did not want to be tied to the allegations and remain neutral due to his concerns of it being such a large known clan making the allegations. He even goes to say he does not care if they are true or false allegations, he just wants to remain out of it. However, Boog was quickly found to be a snake in that regard, as he publicly showed support of Aquativity's claims with a tweet of his own, as well as Aquativity in the comments of said tweet, looking for more validation he could use to fuel the fire of his accusations. This now shows that Boog is the prime suspect in where Aqua was claiming to get his information. It really goes to show a lot about a person's character when they lie to you in private to publicly shame you the next second, all from seemingly try to gain favor and recognition from bigger communities that in reality don't care about them the way they think they do. Following the revelation of Boog's backstabbing, I collected all the information I could showing his change in behavior towards Insomnia, as well as the hypocrisy that the information he provided has. He also states in this response here that he didn't tell anyone to make a tweet, but did provide the information that the opinion was formed on. So that clearly shows the sign of guilt of him being the one giving information behind scenes. Boog has always been friendly to Insomnia, and if he claims he wasn't, like in this post here, I have proof that, it was never a one-way street, and I was offering information back in the beta. We considered ourselves a sister clans, everyone was friendly. There are still members of 7-Eleven and Insomnia playing together, and there's no issues if they do. The only person I personally have issues with is Boog for being a backstabber and a snake at this point in time with the evidence I have. I even played with them myself back in the beta to do World's First, where Insomnia didn't have members who could play on Google Play devices, as well as people who couldn't get on a Monday morning. So I have no issues with them. I only have issues with Boog. Not to mention the fact that the accusations made against us are very indulgent in hypocrisy, as you can see in the evidence provided now that not only did Insomnia try to reach out to maintain competitive fairness in an event such as a raid race, we also agreed with Boog that under certain competitive fairness aspects were good for the long-term lifetime of the game. It's also safe to assume that any alpha and beta testers in 7-Eleven would also know of bugs and exploits, Boog himself included, as he discovered some himself, one of the most notorious ones being the unstuck bug that did get patched in the beta. It's safe to assume that while they did know about it and could have used it in their own will or execution of any bug or exploit, I'm not saying they did. It's one of the reasons we reached out to try to compete competitive fairness in something like a raid race. It also doesn't sit right with me that Boog can push a false narrative to bigger platforms without including himself or those around him in that story, as well as people from outside our clan and some in 7-Eleven were seeking information on bugs, whether it was to use for themselves or to try to add fuel to the fire they wanted to burn us with. I also believe Boog's desire to grow a platform and name for himself has negatively impacted the way he perceives and interacts with those around him, as there's a lot of proof of him wanting to grow a platform as well as use his accomplishments from the playtest to make connections with communities that are coming into Rising. Now, there's no issues with him using these accomplishments. I have the same accomplishments, however, I'm not interested in being a creator or making these connections. Boog has said before that he also thinks these accomplishments are fake prestige, but he is also simultaneously using them to gain on his own. He's also supported what Aqua and Giggs asked of us, condemning competitive integrity that he also morally preached for. They couldn't handle the fact they were losing and did lose to people that they didn't know, and they asked for proof of why they were losing. Boog supported that, even though it takes away from the competitiveness and basically is submitting to a bigger group just for the sake of saving face. He's also lied about the people who helped him gain those accomplishments and considered him a friend for what we perceive is the sake of trying to gain that instant favor, as well as he is letting the egos and narcissism of these bigger groups bring negativity into the Rising community by supporting them. I have an issue with that, and that is one of the reasons I wanted to show this all to the public. Not only that, he seems like he's trying to use a situation or has malicious intention to be the only group or the only person that is known in the Rising community. This also kind of seems like a smear campaign to kind of, push Insomnia down or even get rid of us. There might also be more jealousy, and I'm sorry to bring their names into this, but we helped people like Asdacross and Jixter Clyde and, other D2 creators saw Insomnia's names on leaderboards. And I don't know if that spiked some sort of jealousy in him. He's actively been seeking relationships with D2 creators to help grow a name for him. I know he did the NA World's First server race with Scaro9, and I'm sure that's helped him. However, the things he's doing behind the back and his poor character choices really should be reflected on if anyone proceeds to interact with him. Now, I want to finish off again saying bugs and exploits are always going to be found and used by players in games, and while I do believe that there were other teams using bugs in leaderboards this week, I do not personally care enough to make accusations over something as stupid as that. The leaderboards reset weekly, and if I'm losing, I'm not going to be upset. I'll try again next week, and if it keeps happening, well, then maybe I'll report, hey, can you guys see if there's a bug going on? That I can understand. This isn't speedrunning.com. This isn't a glitchless category. NetEase has never specifically said, anywhere, don't use bugs or exploits in our games or we'll ban you. That's not happened. This is an in-game leaderboard, and speedrunning at essence has always been players using out of bounds and bugs and exploits to go faster. I can understand aspects of, like, in D2 right now with Sturm damage boost happening. If a raid race is going on, I wouldn't want that around. But in a leaderboard that resets weekly and you can try as many times as you want, who cares, And while I do, but unfortunately can't believe that there were no malicious intentions, in this situation, I do seek that Aquativity and Giggs can grow up and issue an apology for the problems they have caused for myself and people I play with. They either knowingly or unknowingly spread those false accusations and misinformations over such a large community, and it's only because they lost fair and square at the end of the day after complaining to public. As well as it's so stupid to lose a friend over this, but I will personally not be playing or communicating with Boog Slugus at all in the future due to his bad trust I now have with him and his character. I also, again, hope that anyone who sees this and has been approached by Boog, that they either reflect on any interactions they've had with him and decide if it's worth continuing those interactions, or if it's just better to try and avoid someone who willingly put others down for their own gain. I have nothing more to say on these matters, and I don't know if you guys will ever see me again. Hopefully it's not in a situation like this, so see y'all till next time.